Hi, everybody, and welcome to This Is Difficult, the podcast that's still going somehow. Just kidding. Welcome aboard, everyone. We love to talk about video games and video game related things. I'm Lord Yeshua, one of your co hosts. My name is Josh, and we got Colin over here. Ooh, he's just the next box. Don't be jealous. And then that's 4Gs. And then we got Ryugami-san. You're on his channel right now. That's Paul. And here, let's talk about some shit. We played games this week, a little bit for me, but you guys started off. What'd you guys play? What'd we do?
You want to go first there, Colin?
Yeah, this week I'll go first.
You
I
played the
didn't play
most.
anything.
What? It's still gonna be a light one for all of us, I feel like.
Okay. I got a couple things I can talk about.
Oh, okay.
I did not
things
play
to
anything.
Well, I guess I'll go next, then you can go like hard. So like I played a little Doom 64, of course. More than
64?
Yeah, that was
Oh.
the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, Doom 64.
Okay,
I'm
thanks
sure
for
it
right.
was.
I
I just didn't make the connection. No. That's okay.
I
I
just
put my
said
own
Doom
game.
64 because that was the one that you get for free with Doom Eternal, so I already had it. So I was like, okay.
Oh, so
Yeah,
like,
so
is it an
there's a-
updated version then?
I think it's a little.
It's a remaster.
It is smoother. It is just looks and feels smoother, but that's just N64 upgrade. I don't know if that's like a true remaster or if it just like is better because I'm using an Xbox controller or whatever. By the way, I can even play it on my broken Xbox controller because you only need the top button of your, to like open doors, and then it's like to shoot button, and then it's
We need to start a GoFundMe for just controllers for Josh, because it seems like
I
all
need
of his
everything.
controllers are
Oh my
trash.
god, that's so did you ever buy a new controller?
No, I'm lazy. It's right in my basket on Amazon along with a bunch
Just do
of
it
other
right
bullshit.
now on
No,
stream and
I'm
I'll clip
lazy.
it.
Stop.
Dude,
Get it?
I highly
My credit card info?
recommend 8-bit Does. Like,
I know,
they're
I know,
inexpensive. They're
that does look good.
much higher quality than any other third-party controller you're going to get on the
Yeah,
market.
And that I can
You
play.
can use it on your
need-
PC. You can use it on
And
your
he loses
Switch,
batteries.
and
Jesus,
it's chargeable.
man.
It's
He doesn't charge
rechargeable. You don't
things.
have to.
Wait, so
You
what
know-
do I listen to here?
Dude, listen, I know you better. Okay, I think Paul
Okay.
is right. I think it's a better controller, but not better for you.
Yeah, okay, that's fair because I need something that's going to plug right into the ass of my computer and just
Yes.
like,
You
yeah.
need
This
USB
could plug right in
plug-in.
the ass of your
Yeah.
computer
You need a
and
USB that's attached
charge
to it.
it.
We can't lose it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dude,
Wait,
I'm
can you
thinking
use
like
the- can you
20
use
steps
the-
ahead here.
I know you can't use for some reason Joy-Cons or not the Joy-Cons, whatever's from the Switch on your PC, but can you use the Wii U controllers? Because I just found the USB for that and I could try and sync that. The Wii U Pro controller.
Let me check. I'm actually gonna do it.
But I really like the way Nintendo controllers feel, so like I feel like that would be a better option, just that smoothness. I don't know.
There's a whole like tutorial on how to do this.
Dude,
Oh,
this
wow.
is they're literally like they look like Super Nintendo
And I am
controllers.
probably gonna sell my PS4, I think, and just like go
Yeah,
full
do it.
Nintendo PC life. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
need to get a Blu-ray player because of that. So
No, we're not gonna give. You're not getting the Wii U connected to your.
Ooh,
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
hard.
There's
Okay,
a
what else?
whole. 4 years ago, there was this entire like ridiculous thing you had, like down. I don't know if it still holds true, but I'm
What about
guessing it
now?
does.
It's probably easy as peasy. Terrible two
Probably not.
dogs. Okay, I also played a lot of Sunshine. I love that game. Not a lot even. I didn't really play much. And then what do I that's it. I played a lot of Magic, honestly, with my
Nice,
friends.
nice.
Online.
So what did I play? I played drum roll. That's my drum roll. I'm good at it. I played Way of the Samurai 2
Hey-yo.
on stream yesterday. Was so much fun. I'm
What is
probably
that?
gonna do more of this because I got my PlayStation 2 emulation going and I own the game.
That's
I
it.
actually ripped my own copy of the game to play it.
Nice.
As well as a little bit of this. I'm gonna play this next week, but I just kind of gave a little test run of it. This is I'm trying to get rid of the glare there. Sword of the Samurai, which is Kengo 2. It's another awesome PS2 samurai game.
Ooh.
So
That
that was a
sounds
lot
fire.
of fun. A
You're
lot
just
of
drowning in
fun.
samurai games right now.
Yeah, and then I've also been playing the new Destiny expansion came out this week.
Ooh, Destiny 20.
Yeah, Destiny 20. It's good so far. I think I'm still suffering from a little bit of burnout from Destiny though, in all honesty.
That game?
Yeah.
The game that never ends burns people out.
Right.
Just kidding.
I get that. No, I understand the burnout. I get burned out
Yeah.
with games a lot, actually.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just like, I'm done for the next 6 months, potentially.
Oh my god, I need to play Ocarina of Time soon though.
There you go.
That game doesn't burn. I don't burn out. with
There's
that
no
game.
such thing as burnout on the old ones.
Yeah.
I think there is, but
Shut your mouth. No,
Get out of here.
But here's the
Sure.
thing. I mean, like, again, I'm really enjoying the game so far. There's a lot of new things to do. There's a whole new like darkness like
Mm,
subclass, which is really cool
we
and it's
love
much
dark.
more customizable than all of like the light subclasses. Um, but you know, it suffers from the same things that Destiny always has, which is really grindy. There's a lot of
Redundancy.
like kind of fetch questy stuff and you know, I don't know. It's like if I was consistently playing with friends, then I'd probably be all about it right now. But most of my friends, particularly on PC, have left Destiny, which is
Yeah.
why
Ooh.
I'm probably going to main Destiny on PS5 when I finally get a PS5, because that's where the people that I know that still do play Destiny
Mm,
are playing. They're playing on PlayStation, and
mm,
it's backwards
mm.
compatible or like cross console with PS4 and PS5. So even if my friends don't have a PS5, I can still play with them if they're still on PS4. So that's
Okay.
cool.
Real quick question here. I feel like
Oh.
you're looking forward to a PS5? Like you're excited to get it. You were one of the first ones in
Yay,
line
I
to try and
want
get it, but then
it.
you didn't because
I would
the
trample a
whole
grandma for
Walmart
that.
thing fiasco with the cart.
Yeah,
Right.
actually, we can talk about that too. But yeah,
I would love to hear about that.
Yes.
But
Ooh.
are you kind of sad that's not handheld like the Switch is? I mean, like that is so convenient. You know, I went
What a
on a
what
trip
a
the other night.
selling point. Yeah.
No, I'm
yeah.
just like I'm
So
just curious. Like,
Interesting.
do you wish it was like wireless? You know, or some way to like quickly move it around? You know,
yes
I
and
mean, we
no.
can play
Here's
it.
the thing. Here's the thing. The next gen consoles that just came out are basically PC quality. Like they're the same quality as like a mid to high tier gaming PC,
Okay.
right? And so like, you know,
Pretty
you're
cool.
able to game in 4K. You're able to game in, 60 plus frames per second. You know, it's I feel like they've finally broken the barrier between PC and console, just at the cusp of it. You know, they haven't like, like a real high end PC is still up here, okay, but like they've broken through that PC barrier where it's like you're sacrificing performance to play on console rather than on PC, right?
Hmm.
And I
Okay.
don't
Okay.
believe that can be done on handheld yet. Now, does that make me like my Switch less? No, not at all. Does that make me not want a Switch Pro when that
Hmm.
comes out? No, not at all. I still want those things.
I still want
You
that.
know?
You're just
Um,
saying like basically you know that you can't get the quality from a Switch that you can from one of these things. So
exactly. Exactly.
I
But it's
thought
Now,
no,
Xbox
it's no,
360 matched the current like PC's level of gaming. In fact, people were turning their Xbox 360s into Windows machines. You know, they were
oh
like
wow.
loading Windows
So
on
funny.
it
yes
as a
and no.
just
Well,
PC.
there had to
Basically.
be a lot of modification. I mean, they were doing that with the original Xbox too, right?
Yeah,
But there was a
yeah,
lot of modification that had to go into
right.
that to make it really perform like a PC. And even then it
Yeah.
was still like kind of an underpowered PC.
I don't see
Oh, it
Um,
why
was. So it
it.
wasn't actually a decent PC then.
No.
I
not
don't know.
not made out of a
I have no idea.
console. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, it depends on the like literally it depends on the time frame you're looking at because I think that like
Now.
within the first couple months of launches of certain things, for instance, when the PS4 first launched, um, China was buying up a bunch of PS4s because of the GPU that was in the PS4 to use those
Mm.
as Bitcoin farms.
Miners,
Oh
Yeah.
mining
wow.
things.
So
Absurd.
Yeah.
like they're like a certain window of time where the power in the console was um comparable maybe to a high end PC, but not quite like what most people want out of performance, and it didn't have any staying power, right? I think this generation you're actually seeing you know a console that's going to be able to compete with PC for a decent amount of time. And then when it's time for those consoles to be revamped, it's going to keep with that trend as opposed to falling massively behind like every other console
Hmm.
generation has.
That's true.
That
Um,
becomes more expensive though
mhm.
than a
We know.
PC. You know, just like owning a
I
PC.
said this last week. Colin
So you're
wasn't
saying like
here.
it's convenience basically. It's a convenience thing.
Yeah,
It's
for
more
sure.
of a preference thing too.
Because like with a console, you don't have to worry about like updates or I mean like you do sometimes, but
Well,
like
not
you
the
don't have to worry
same.
about like it being like is your driver up to date? You know, like
Right.
is
You
this
Yeah.
never
not
have to worry
working?
about compatibility issues with a console.
If there's an issue
That's one
with
of the
it,
best
everyone
things
has
about
that issue probably.
it.
You know,
Yeah.
like so that is nice. Like where it's me, it's like if something broke on my computer, I'm like I have a 1060 i7 last generation with six, like you just go through all the things that could be wrong with your computer, So
Mhm.
there is something to be said about that. I don't know. I'm just curious where this is all going. Like I kind of feel like this is the last year or last time for
I
like
think it's the
console.
second. One more.
So
One more.
I
One
think this
more,
is
yeah.
I think this is
We're at the end though.
Microsoft's last console generation.
I agree
I
with that
think- I think-
wholeheartedly. Yeah.
They're going
Yeah.
to
I think
cloud, aren't
Sony
they?
is gonna go balls to
Yeah.
the wall on the next one. Nintendo is just gonna do its thing, and as
So-
long as they keep getting money, we'll be fine and have Zelda.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
I
We'll
think
be
that
okay. Paper Mario,
Xbox
whatever.
is
I'm
much
happy
more
now.
focused on offering the Xbox as a service.
Mhm.
And they've
Sounds like
already
something you
like
could do like a
they've-
Netflix almost.
kind of, yeah, and they've already massively implemented that. And it's actually really a good infrastructure. It's probably the best value in gaming right now, right?
Have you done it? Yeah, have you used it?
The Xbox or
The cloud.
yeah, I have.
The
I
game,
beta
yeah.
tested. I was one of the first. I actually
wasn't
have
here
like a
last
badge.
I wasn't here last
Or
week.
Yeah.
yeah, you didn't have to be here. I
No,
beta
we talked
tested it
about.
like
I think we talked about
months
it last
ago.
week.
We
Maybe
did?
we
Oh,
did.
my bad.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
there was a game Nintendo's launching with like this thing coming up. We talked about.
Oh, we're going on a lot of little rabbit trails. So let's get some frame of reference here. So Nintendo
Cloud-based
launched 2 games as cloud-based gaming, right,
Okay,
on the
rabbit hole.
Nintendo Switch. But that's
did-
totally separate from Project
Oh, I missed that.
xCloud,
gaming.
which was which is Microsoft's cloud-based gaming, which is included in the what is it called? The Game Pass. It's included in the Game Pass. So if you have like the Ultimate Game Pass, you have xCloud. There's a bunch of games, like over 100 games you can stream on your phone, and it actually works really well. Not like perfect. There's still definitely latency, but it's good. And especially when you compare it to Google Stadia, where you still have to buy your games and then you don't even know if that's going to exist. This is just included in the service. So you don't have to worry about that. You can also stream games from your console to your phone or to your device
That's crazy.
through this technology as well. And I beta tested it. I was one of the early adopters. They even Xbox sent me an email that included like a founder's badge and like all this
Wow.
cool stuff.
Oh, that's so
Famous.
Yeah.
cool.
So
I know that guy.
that's
I know
pretty
that
neat.
guy.
But I really think that that's where Xbox is putting their focus is into cloud gaming. Yes, maybe, but just in general, games like just
Yeah.
the Xbox service being like your gaming infrastructure for
Yeah.
whatever you play on, whether it's PC or a console or your phone or whatever.
They're clearly not able to beat anyone in a department. Like literally, they're not as somehow awesome as Sony, and they're not as like fun as Nintendo. So their console just doesn't work. Like having a home console doesn't work for them. They need to be everywhere. They need to be like a service you can just get on your PC.
Well,
like
they're clearly
download
scaring Sony because
and
Sony
might
like
even have a console
rushed
soon.
this out. It seems like So like obviously there is some like head to head. They probably want to rush it out actually before Christmas. Is really what they're.
I think both consoles did that.
Both are rushed as
Mhm.
fuck. That's why,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it sounds like it with all the issues that are happening. So
Let's talk about those.
Yeah.
Or is that the news?
Well, yeah, that is part of the news. Let's real quick to just talk about the fiasco that was trying to
Ooh, yeah.
purchase one of these.
How many
consoles.
heads got trampled?
Well, so none. But
Wow.
but
First
No one
time ever.
died?
No one
Really?
died?
let me tell you why.
we're a PG
Because
podcast now.
they didn't
Fuck.
they didn't release these consoles in stores. You could only
Yeah.
order them online.
Which is
Okay.
insane.
What?
But also, it
So-
makes sense. Isn't that crazy,
So
dude?
what if was GameStop just like, oh, okay, bro?
Yeah. Dude, GameStop was like, fucking fuck yourself. Order it online.
Everyone.
They
was.
can't,
Surely
they
they
can't
could,
hold
like-
them. What are they going to do?
Couldn't they?
So
I
this
don't
is
understand why not.
I'll
Let's see.
explain the
Paul
whole
has
thing.
info. Paul's got
I got it.
info.
All right.
Save us.
So this
What
is how
about scalpers?
Yes. Anyway, here it comes.
This sounds so stupid.
okay. So because of COVID, both game companies, Sony and
Oh, yeah, I thought
Microsoft,
about
Mhm.
decided that they weren't going to have stores release date units in their stores. You couldn't go into a store and purchase a unit on release day. What you could do is, and different sites did it differently, right? So like Newegg and GameStop both did like packages. I actually could have bought one of the packages, and at this point, I'm kind of regretting not doing it. But it was
Yeah.
$800,
Ah,
and it included some games that I didn't want to play. So
no.
that was the main reason I
We sell
didn't
them
do
for
it.
$400 each.
Sure. But I had that in my cart, and I was like, let me see if I can find just the console somewhere. And
Nope.
I somewhat regret that, but I also
Mistake.
don't. I didn't want those games.
Dude, they're gonna be
So-
like for just the console and nothing else. It's gonna be like $700-800 in like a week on eBay. Just wait.
Already,
Just-
it already
this
is.
it already. Yeah, I'm sure this
Yeah.
is gonna be the
Those
biggest.
are
So,
like
so
1700.
Newegg and GameStop both did that. Now Target did like a limited release at midnight of launch day, where, and actually I don't even think it went live at midnight. I think it went live at like fucking 3 a.m. And like you had to, it was in-store pickup, so you had to like not only get into the website, but you had to find a store that had stock and then buy it through that store and
So crazy.
go that way. There was
Which-
also PlayStation, like just like PlayStation as a whole did a like on their website, PlayStation Direct, they did a limited online release, and you had to get into a queue. I was in the queue, but I fucking fell asleep before my thing came up.
No.
Oh my god.
And then Walmart did what seemed to be the most feasible way of getting one, right?
Give us the
So this is
deets.
what they did. They had several release times. The first one was at 11 a.m. 12 Eastern time. So 11 a.m. my time, right? That's the first release. So you just log into the fucking website at that time and try and get one. Okay. Then there was another one at 2 o'clock, another one at 5 o'clock, and then another one at 8 o'clock. This is all central time. So, just add an hour, whatever direction you're going. So I
Okay.
tried on every single one. I tried at 11. I got it in my cart, but I couldn't get to the checkout. I tried again at 2, got it in my cart, couldn't get to the checkout. I did it again at 5, got it in my cart, got to the checkout, but by the time I was there, it was sold out, and so it actually kept it in my cart. And so I was like, fuck yeah, I'm getting it at 8 o'clock. All I got to do is press buy
There you go.
at 8 p.m. and we'll do it. So like 8 p.m. rolls around, I press buy. It takes me it confirms all my stuff. It's all in there. It's ready to go. Like it's processing my payment. Website crashes,
Wow.
comes back up, hit buy again, gone. It was gone.
Wow.
out.
It has to be
dude.
scalpers.
You know what it
has
is?
to
You know
be.
what it is?
It's
No
robots.
one is getting them. They're not even being sold. It's a lie. No, but seriously, it's definitely robots, and we all saw this coming. There hasn't been a launch in the last almost 2 years now that hasn't had this. This is like a known thing that bots are going to take them, and like they want that. The
This
scarcity.
is how bots take over the world.
Yeah, but no, scarcity is so good. Look how hard we're talking about it, and we're just talking about how bad we want this shit, and like we can't get it. Like scarcity is like half of it.
I just
So
want
they have that. They have
30
the media
series.
flow, and it's not.
Yeah, but
their
this is not a
fault.
good look for them, though.
It's not
This is
their
not a
fault,
good
though,
look.
quote unquote. So it doesn't. It's like so like precious
I
that I
don't
gotta
know.
fucking get it for $900 secondhand. Like I need that. My child will die without it. It's like no, dude. This shit is crazy. No one buy them. Fuck yourselves. I think
don't
that no
know.
one can buy it,
I-
honestly. It's like way crazy if this is gonna happen every time.
Yeah.
and you
So
can't fix
here's the
bots.
thing. Here's the thing. I think it was a good idea. I honestly think this is a good idea for any kind of console launch. But
Why?
well, let me tell you why.
Tell me why.
Um,
Think he's gonna tell us?
because it keeps people from trampling people in stores. Honestly, is the best way.
Well,
like pandemic or not. But here's the problem: they need to have number one, like robot verification, and number two, like a better queuing system so that people actually have a chance to do that. Like if I have it in my cart, I should have it reserved for a certain time
Mhm.
period.
You know what should be?
like
A human should just be like the first 100 humans to call GameStop and write their name down, get in line that night, and you are the only ones allowed. Like,
Sure.
and then you just have that
Wait,
ID. I don't even
They didn't have
understand
a
why
bot.
would you do
Are you
that.
a bot thing? They didn't have one of those like
None of that. On none of the sites was there any kind of verification.
what?
Why? And it's a
Was
fucking
this their plan all along to make more money because they knew scalpers would pay
Yes,
more
of course,
than the
all of
general
it.
public?
I don't know,
Duh.
man. I really don't
Scarcity.
know.
That seems like a weird because everything else does that. Everything else requires those little like, are you a bot? And it's like, oh my god, how many buses are there?
I don't even know what a bus looks like.
Yeah. So here's the
Yeah,
thing.
pretty
Like,
amazing.
I really think that they could do something like this in the future for future launches, but they need to really
Ah.
look into some kind of a verification system to make it so number one, the site's not crashing. Number two, it's not just robots buying up all the systems so that they can sell them all on eBay for twice the price. You know, that's fucking bananas. So,
What was it retailing? 500 after tax?
Yeah. Well, it's $4.99. Yeah, for the PS.
Okay, so it's
For
like
the for the
530
disc
depending on
version
your
of the
state.
PS5, I think it was $3.99 for the non-disc version. Just the digital. Yeah.
I
so.
actually would maybe go that way this time if I got one because I'm tired of that fan. That fan is going to be an issue, like for the disc drive.
So
Like,
I did hear, well, two things. Number one, I hear in general the PlayStation 5 is insanely quiet. It's almost eerily
the
quiet.
first 5 years you have it or whatever,
Sure.
you know. I
Maybe,
don't know.
yeah. Well, you got to keep your console clean, you know, clean the dust
Yeah.
out, and it's very
Yeah.
easy to do. And there's takedown videos to show you how to do that.
Hmm.
But then number two, the disc version of the console is a little bit louder because you hear the disc running, but it's not obnoxiously loud like the PlayStation 4 Pro or the regular PlayStation. Sounds like a fucking, you know, jet
Airplane.
engine launching. Yeah.
It really does suck.
But yeah, it's a much quieter system. That was a real big focus with Sony this generation, was to make a nice quiet system that also ran very cool. So
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah. Any other console
No,
launch
that's
things
good.
before we go any further that you guys want to talk about?
Still no date on the Switch Pro?
No, but there's like confirmations coming out the wazoo from like third parties, you know? So like we know it's coming. We don't know when.
Yeah.
It's easy to assume beginning of the year, but who knows what COVID did to impact that. You know, we're seeing right now what it's done to like the production for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. Like email just went out from Amazon to a lot of pre-orders for the Xbox Series X saying that sorry, you might not get your pre-order until, you know, the 31st of this month. Or I mean, yeah, of December rather. So after the holidays.
Wow. If not like mid-January.
Yeah, and that's because, you know, they just haven't had enough people, you know, they haven't been able to have the factories up and running to make sure that all these systems are produced on time for launch. So I think that's just a big problem in general. Yeah. I think that Nintendo, we have seen them this year be way more conservative about their launches. And so I think that's probably going to be the way they do things going forward until they have like solid production lines set up. So it's very easy to say potentially that next year we might not see the Switch Pro until later on in the year, even though our projections are for you know, maybe March.
They could just drop it on us. They like to do that.
Yeah, that's something they've been doing too. So
They love to do
we'll
that.
see how things go.
Wanna get my
Anywho,
hands on that.
we have a game to review.
Oh God, no! Is it my turn?
It's your turn. Are you ready? Are you ready to
Nice.
give us your review?
Let me see. Where's the outline? You know, I like that sweet outline.
It's in the notes, in the same
Ah,
place
it's
it's
in the
always
notes.
in every week.
It's pinned every
Always
single
there.
week.
It's pinned in the Discord. You click on the notes.
There it is.
All right, let me get the background gameplay up.
Something like a game. Games you played this week. No.
No,
it's
not games we
Feature
played this week.
game.
No,
There
not
we
that
go.
either.
What? There you go.
Yeah, the review outline.
There we go. I see.
Yeah, it's down there.
Zach's putting his thing on it so I can see.
Uh,
All right, perfect. There he is. I got you. Okay. Hi, everybody. A memoir by me, your Lord Yeshua. All right. Let me see here, guys. Okay, I played Doom 64 this week, and only a little bit. No, I played a good amount, like about a month ago. I'll be totally full disclosure with you guys, and then played a little bit this week to kind of catch up for the review. Hey, I did my homework. It's a really, really good game. I love this game. What's it available for? It's available for the N64. You're never going to get it. It's so hard to find. Get it on eBay or some shit for like what? Can we get a fact check on that? Like too much money, I promise you. So what you should do is get Doom Eternal for $60, which is fire, but also a lot, so not for everyone. And then you should get this for free because that's what happens. How great is that? It's literally a free game if you like Doom Eternal. So I see no reason not to.
and that's on every console, right?
It's on every is it on
Except
the
for
Switch?
Switch. Well, Doom
Oh,
Eternal, I don't know if the Switch port's out yet, but I
could've
know
sworn
Doom
the first Doom
64
is.
is on the Switch. You can get it for like
Oh.
$5.
Well,
And
yeah.
and Doom
That's fucking
64 is
amazing.
also for sure on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So
Man, another reason to get a Switch. Haha. Sorry, the handheld aspect, I agree with Colin though. Just real quick, like it's so like I want a handheld console as well as like a plugged-in console. Like if I'm gonna have a console, I want to be able to do whatever I want with it. It's like to have like a hardware that's right next to my PC. I'm just like, grab the mouse, But anyway, that's just me. I love that Nintendo's still doing that, and I hope it never goes away. Okay. That being said, playing Doom on your Switch sounds fucking badass for $5. So there you go. It got added. Played on Switch, $5. There you go. Thank you. What do I like about the game? This is just one of the smoothest as far as control wise shooters, like for its day. Like people praise GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. Sorry, Perfect Dark is a great game. GoldenEye, whatever, didn't date well. But this game actually is not dated at all. Like something about its movement is just so quick. There's no running mechanics at the time, but you still move quick enough that you're just like really flowing through the levels without any kind of hindrance. And it's again just like, oh, here's another huge thing. So shooters at the time were like really difficult to aim, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to aim very carefully. And auto aim was a little more difficult back then, or not a thing at all for some games. And this is like much easier because you're on even kilter. Basically, you never move up and down, so it's really just more like an arcade shooter, I would say. I don't really know how to explain it, so more like something like that. It just feels a lot more fun. Let's see. Love that. What was the gameplay? How was the art? Art is kind of okay. I mean, it's kind of like rendered, I think I would call it, where it's like a picture and like they animate the picture. So not really the best, but also not too serious. Like the first, Doom Eternal is so much to play that sometimes it's like, okay, I'm just ripping brains out of their bodies and like it's really intense. And Doom 64 is really not that bad because it's just all rendered. So you're like, okay, it's really not that well animated that you're like scared of the gore. So I'd say it's good, but also, yeah, not that great. Let's see. Sound is I'm not gonna lie, the sound is like kind of I don't know what's going on sometimes. So like you pick up random shit and like mostly you're just picking up ammo and like random weapons and stuff like that. But like I don't often know what's going on if I'm just like running as fast as I can and like mowing people down. So like just picking up random shit and the sound isn't very helpful in that way. But and the killing sounds are pretty much all the same. So they're neat. Yeah, nothing crazy there. And the music is pretty good, but nothing like it is in the newer ones where it's like death metal straight up. So it's decent. I would give those pretty low ratings actually as far as those things. Let's see. The game is so difficult. Has anyone played Doom? Have you guys even played this game?
I mean, I've played
Before
the
I can-
original Doom. Like
I played Marathon,
my
which
fingers
is the
bled,
precursor to Halo.
What's Marathon? Where are you right now? I'm just kidding.
It's like this gameplay.
Okay,
I'm watching your gameplay, and it's a
Oh,
lot like
my
this.
gameplay? When did I play this?
Well, not your gameplay, but like
Pros.
the gameplay that we have in the background.
yeah.
Yes.
And it looks a lot like Marathon, like the same like rendered way, like the way like it's
Yes.
it's probably like a flat plane, whatever. that's, like,
Exactly. The flat
animated
plan.
basically to make it look like it's walking away from you, whatever.
That is exactly what it is, actually. And it really reminds me of those old screensavers where you're like going through the maze or whatever. And it's just like, that's, you know what I mean? You like turn, but you're not really actually going down a tunnel. It's just like how it's animated, where it's like coming towards you almost. It's like kind of that bad. But again, this is a remaster. It really actually looks more seamless than that. But still, sometimes I'm like walking into a wall and I'm like, why can't I press the button? I realize I'm not like right up against the wall maybe or something. And I'm like, oh, it's just like spatially kind of interesting. So it's still not flawless. Take it for what it is, though. Still an older game, so
It looks really good. I mean, I'm
that's
sure
what I'm saying, yeah.
they modernized the graphics, like the textures and
Where's my drink?
the resolution. But I mean, I think it's probably the same game as what I imagine.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Same game for the most part. They didn't really enhance anything. It just feels better with this controller than on. I think on the
it
N64.
doesn't use both controllers to control. You have to still just move one around, basically.
It's just
I'm guessing.
one. Exactly. Yeah. One to move and then shoot. Yeah. It's literally just like I don't even remember. Do you strafe around with the other one?
Strafing doesn't seem like a thing that would be available in older games.
I mean, there
So
was
you don't-
strafing on PC, but I don't know that there was necessarily strafing on the 64,
I
unless
honestly
maybe
don't
it
remember.
incorporated the shoulder buttons or something.
Pull it up real quick. No, the shoulders were just switching between weapons. It just
Okay.
So it's pretty much like a move, a shoot, a switch between weapons, and a door open, which is like because there's no jumping. This is very like Legend of Zelda-y, where
that's
you're in
right.
a maze. So this is actually a huge plus of the game for me. The newer Dooms are kind of puzzly in their landscapes, but it's also just so intense. You're more worried about combat. Whereas these, the combat is more distraction from the puzzly landscape. And the landscape, although it is not the strong suit for me because a lot of it looks very similar, and when you're going deep into a level, you're like, did I see that? Like, where the fuck am I right now? Like, this looks kind of similar corridor wise. As you'll notice, like a lot of the animation on the corridors and whatnot are similar, and it's kind of dark and gloomy everywhere. That being said, though, it's like a huge plus for me that it is like more difficult to like navigate your way through these real mazes instead of like a crazy level jungle gem. It's actually like a top down, like a maze that's one or more levels, and you get keys and you investigate it and you like basically unlock the entire, we'll just call it an office building. Like, I don't even know, you know what I mean? It ends up being this crazy tunnel system that's like stories tall, and just to unlock like the one exit. And it's just a really cool way to design like mazes, and it's really like a maze game at heart.
And you
to
guys all
win.
shit on
Yeah.
me when I told you guys to play Chex Quest. It's like the same fucking game.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh, I'm really sick actually. I got really like motion sick from that game.
Yeah,
You
me
did
too,
well.
actually.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
there was
really?
something about the port that made me motion sick. It
Oh,
was
that
And
is
that's
weird.
the issue. That was the issue I
Yeah.
had with like I was like I actually really would think I would have enjoyed this, but I got really sick
Mhm.
real fast, and that's that. I mean, I can't enjoy a game if I get sick from it.
You're
Literally.
vomiting.
Yeah, it was bizarre. Yeah.
That's hilarious. I mean, terrible. What did I say? Where'd my page go? Oh, there it is. Okay. But yeah, the game is very difficult. The maze aspect really takes it up a notch as far as like the enemies aren't even the hardest part, but you do have to strategically use your resources, which are weapons. The best method in Doom is the harder and more you slaughter, the better your rewards are. If you're timid and you're playing Resident Evil style and conserving your weapons, you're probably going to get killed pretty fast. You literally rip and tear is like the what did they say, like the quote for the game or whatever, like the slogan, rip and tear. So it's like that's what you got to do. Kill people as fast as possible and regenerate your supplies and just mow them down. The longer you take, the more likely you are to be killed. Basically, you just have to be like completely confident and just go. And the game really allows that. It's like very easy to speed run if you like just are confident, just getting close to someone and shotting them in the face. It sounds horrible, but like it's a really easy game to just like run through when you get good at it, and then just focus on like the puzzle as to where you're like going maze wise and collect all the keys and shit. Very difficult though, I would say. I didn't beat it, and I don't know if I've ever beaten Doom 64, but I would like to. I would say it's probably a 5-hour game. If I had to say, it's probably like 10 to 15 if you're really bad at the puzzles, but it's got to be like a 5-6 hour game most likely. I don't know. It can't be that long. I can't imagine. And speedrunners probably destroy it. Let's find out. The speedrun record is probably like 30 minutes, or something horrifying. And then what else? Would you play a sequel? I mean, I have. Yeah, I would definitely play more Doom. Overall rating and impression. So I'm pretty generous normally. So let's see. It's a really great game, very fun, highly recommended, and it's free sometimes if you get Doom Eternal, and it only costs $5 otherwise. There's like no like negative to really getting this, so that's a huge plus. I definitely say play it. So I'd probably give it a 7.8 overall, or even like an 8 point. I'm too generous now. 7.8. Yeah. No, I give it like an 8.2. I feel bad giving it the 7s.
It's an old game. I'm sure no one cares.
Yeah, I would.
Well, so
they care.
let's take a perspective, right? So
Yeah.
like if you played this game on your 64,
Mhm.
at,
I would love
at
it.
the time
Yeah,
of
okay, let's
64 when the
That's the way
64
we're looking
came
at it?
out.
That's the way we're looking
No,
at it?
we'll give it 2 scores. Let's give
Okay,
it the retro
yes.
score and then like
Okay.
now compared to modern gaming, how you feel going back to this.
I like that. Maybe we should add that to this thingy, this list. I would say the retro score is a 9.2, probably. It's really amazing, except you would get lost, like, especially at the time. I feel like I would get pretty lost just because a lot of things look the same. Like now I kind of like understand that it just looks that way. But then I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, why did they make it like this? This is the current graphics, and it, like, I don't know what I'm looking at. So I would say overall, everything's amazing. It would be like the most intense thrill ride at the time. Definitely, like for me, would trump Resident Evil because it's a little less like hold back your resources, literally expend all your resources as fast as possible is what the game is all about, and I love that about it. And it's just really hardcore, like you just mowing people down and demons and like just like saving the world or whatever, the old-fashioned way. It's very simple premise, you know, but yeah, 9.2 because the music isn't really my favorite, although it is kind of metally. It's not like really that great. And I probably would have been like, it's neat at the time, but it's not really. Even now, like, I feel like now my childhood senses are what they kind of were, you know, so I still wouldn't love that. And then it looks kind of confusing in some of the mazes. So as far as like the tunnel systems. So I would still give it a 9.2. Currently, with my old man eyes, I would probably give it a 7.8 because those things kind of annoy me more. Although I do understand, like, this is how it looks. And I'm like, okay, I get it. It's like just old. And it, like, they forgot to make every room a different color. So it's like you don't know where the fuck you are sometimes. Like, I understand it. But like, to me, it's still not something I would rather play other than like I'd rather play one of the newer ones, not the super newer ones, but maybe like the next one after Doom 64, the next one after that. The Eternal and whatnot, they're great, but it's like I can play like 30 minutes at a time before I have like a seizure. It's so intense. It's like way too intense for my poor heart. But awesome as well. But yeah, 7.8, and I still think that's pretty generous. Great game for $5 or less, literally down to free if you buy Doom Eternal, which is worth it if you are a fan of way more hardcore and like the most hardcore game I've literally ever played in my entire life. And it's, yeah, for that matter, like not for everyone, but you'll get it for free if you do that. So $5 on the Switch, totally buy it, play it, see your opinion on it. Absolutely worth it, especially on the Switch handheld. I think that's awesome. And yeah, that's it.
Boom.
Watch the full game streamed on YouTube. What does that say? Yeah, watch the full game streamed on YouTube. I'm supposed to plug it, I guess.
Yeah, so this person that I pulled the gameplay from is Shriako. I'll post the link if you want to check this out. Boom. There you go.
Boom.
That's the gameplay we borrowed for this review. So there we go. I'm gonna turn that off.
Shooting up their office building. I didn't even see that at first.
That's so funny. It's
Yeah.
like canon.
Yeah, they're just in the middle of their work week.
It wasn't Josh. No. I didn't stream my
Jerry, they
footage.
shot him.
Yeah, that
work.
wasn't Josh's
Tell his
gameplay.
wife and kids.
Oh no.
Yeah, good review, man. We appreciate it. All right,
I'm actually
let's.
curious what the record is, so I'm just gonna look that up and then tell
It's
you guys.
35 minutes
was
and
13,
23
yeah.
seconds.
I literally guessed that, but like it is such a concise game. I think you just like clip, bam, 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 beep, boop, like
Most of the speed runs, I
Crazy.
wonder if that's not like a 100%. I wonder if that's like an any percent or like a glitch run, because most of the runs that I saw were around an hour, maybe a little over.
I think like an hour plus for like I don't know if there is 100% because really I don't know if it clocks anything. Like you don't. I think
A
you
lot of
collect
those games did clock stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those
I think
older
that's
games
just-
did.
That would just entail getting all the weapons probably because your
Yeah,
health like
okay.
max. I guess you have to kill all the bosses, you know, and get all the weapon or the health,
Yeah.
whatever. But I don't think it's
Dang.
that much. Yeah. Anyway,
Right on.
game.
Topic of the week, boys and girls.
what is it?
Game mechanic deep dive series. Open world games, pros versus cons. What would you say are the pros and cons of open world games? And I'm gonna just put the caveat.
The
This is not.
pros and cons.
Let me pause you.
This is not talk about Breath of the Wild for 20
That's what I was gonna say. we do it too much. We've done it way too much. People
Walks
are
in
starting to
open
talk.
Breath of the Wild.
So let's try not to talk about Breath of the Wild
really
the
gonna
entire
try
time.
not to. Okay.
So, that being said, let's get
Yeah.
into it. What would you say the pros and cons for open world games are? Let's discuss.
Let's discuss. Well, one of the pros is you're not limited to being in a sandbox or no parameters to hold you back. You say that mountain looks cool, man. I would love to just walk on it for no fucking reason,
Mhm.
jump off of it and fly around like whatever game with my paraglider.
Genshin Impact. We're talking about Genshin Impact.
Yeah. Not talking about anything
Oh, I've
else.
heard that game looks
Shoot arrows at
that game is
you.
awesome.
Yes, but anyway, it's like the total freedom aspect. Like open world adds a sense of freedom, whereas there are plenty of games that simply could be open world, and you look at the parameter and you're like, man, if only I could get past this boundaries, but I guess that's not what the level is asking of me. It's like more linear, and I'm just going to play it. And normally games like that do have a story driving aspect.
Mhm.
So I would go then into my negative real quick, which is that open world games tend to be less story driven and lore driven, although some do. But some kind of lose that when you spend 80 hours farming apples and roasting them over an open fire for an old man. You you tend to lose a little bit of what the story is about, and you don't. You know what I'm saying? Though, like when you're kind of doing random shit and you're like whatevering and taking selfies in the woods. All right, last one. It kind of loses it a little
Honestly,
bit.
your review is a breath of fresh air. It's not even
Yeah,
crazy or wild at all.
it's not wild at all.
Oh my
It's definitely
god.
not of
It
the.
really linked everything together for me.
Yes.
Well, let's take another game as an example, Red Dead Redemption 2. Okay?
Yes.
Ah,
So,
We all
yes.
played that.
well, I have and I hate it.
Ganondorf of the
So,
series.
and I'm going to tell you what I liked about it,
Again,
but
those.
then what I didn't like about it. So,
Yes.
what I did like about it, obviously, like you said, you can go anywhere. It's a
So
huge world. It's gorgeous, right? You can take certain things, as you take them in as you want them, rather than having to, get to a certain point in the game before you can view this certain area, things like that. That's really fun to a certain degree. But uh going back to like the story part of it, that game does have an incredible story, but the problem with it is it's constantly distracting you from
it's
the
getting
story.
swallowed into the side quest,
Mhm.
basically, and
And
that's the
and
case with
kind of
like all of
almost
them,
forcing side quests on you,
which is
which
very
is it's
shameful.
shameful. Yeah, it's really irritating.
Yeah.
So like Adam said in the chat there, like the biggest advantage of a linear game is being able to control the pace of the story. I think that's like a really big deal, especially in a really big weak spot of Red Dead Redemption 2 because the incredible story that the game has to offer is being totally like diluted by all this other bullshit that you're having to do. By the time you get back to the story, you forgot what the fuck was going on in the story,
It's
you know?
embarrassing. I
So
think there are certain people that do enjoy side quests and being muddled in thousands of things to do, and it becomes like an addicting thing. But is that like real gaming? Like just being like coughed down and like or bogged down and like
mhm,
this random shit that has nothing to do with the game itself? Is that like
yeah.
actually the purpose of gaming?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I
It's
I
not
think it
like
can be done properly, right? Because Ghost
yeah,
of Tsushima,
arguably
also
linear.
well, you can play it very linearly, and that's what I
Okay.
like about it. If you wanna play that game, you can 100% play it from front to back in a linear fashion without having to do any of the side stuff.
Hmm.
I wouldn't recommend it, but
Yeah.
you can. And, like, even the side stuff that they do offer contributes like, the main side stories all contribute back to the main story.
Which is a
So it's
great way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like a big distraction from what's going on in the game. And then all like the little collectibles and things like that are fun, but like they're clearly marked on the map if you find them or they're easy to find. It doesn't take too much time out of the game to do them. And
Mm.
if you don't want to do it then, it's marked on your map so you can just go back to it later after you've beaten the game or whatever, at your leisure. You can still focus on the story. I think that's a really good way to do that. And a lot of
Yeah.
games in the open world genre, I feel like miss that. Like Witcher 3, I really wanted to play Witcher 3. Like I really wanted to enjoy Witcher 3, but it suffered from like the exact same problems that Red Dead Redemption 2 had. And like it was just a headache, like a legitimate headache to try and get it. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know if I was on a main quest in that game.
It's the
You
same
know?
as Skyrim and all those, in my
Yeah.
opinion. They all kind of feel like that same type of game where it's just like endless and you're like, why am I getting so lost in this extra shit? At one point, at what point is it just like you're addicted to kind of just like doing these random tasks and like kind of hooked on the game? And are you actually, this is what I don't get, if it's really enjoyable for people or not, because I've been hooked into games like that, like Animal Crossing. I didn't
Mhm.
even want to say how vomit inducingly amount of hours I put into that, but like I at some points I was like grinding. They call it a grinding because you're literally grinding for things. And
Mhm.
like there's other games like that, and you're just spending all of your time.
Every game has that. Every game has a grind.
No,
Well,
not
not
every
every
game.
game.
And I am going to
When's the
go.
last time you were grinding in a platformer?
Yes, thank you. But
That'd be
also,
that'd be considered grindy, wouldn't that? Like a level. If you're trying to do one,
no.
if you can't beat it, you have to grind it
No,
out.
that's just
Let's like
practice.
figure it out.
That's
Let's like in
that's
Celeste. In
yeah.
Celeste, you're not grinding.
There's
if you
like something kind of
past
time
point.
committing you're putting
Figure
in
it
that,
out.
that takes,
No, to me, grinding is like you're
you're
doing
saying
the
like
same type of like complete tasks and quests and the same type of thing to like get
the exact same thing over
Yeah,
and over and over. So that'd be like
exactly.
speed running basically would be considered grinding in a certain respect.
No, still not quite. Speedrunning is literally just like wait, the opposite even. Like,
I kind of see what you're saying, Colin, as far as
I think I do.
Everything
putting
has
in the real
something.
gamer hours to like perfect
Oh,
a
okay.
game. It could be considered grinding, but I think what Josh is considering grinding and what most people consider grinding would be like say there's a piece of loot in the game that
Yes. There we go.
exists, but it's a random drop. And so I have to do that over and over and over again to get
Until you
that
get the one you
drop.
want.
Or another like version of grinding is there's certain activities in the game, whether it is open world or not. Theoretically, I could go to this area of the game before beating this area of the game. But if I go to this area of the game first, I'm dramatically under leveled. And so I have to grind my dick hole off to try and get leveled
Battle
up enough to
everyone.
be
Yeah.
able to beat that area.
And it's more like you shouldn't have to do it. You should just be able to play through the game. And in most linear games, you're just kind of capable, except maybe a little weaker, but like not necessarily like forced to not go those ways. But also sometimes the story prohibits you. So it's not even like a worry for you. You're more like not even worried about this next part yet. I don't know. All this comes down to, I think I would argue to say that the linear type of game might actually have a superiority. But if it's done right, and I have a perfect example here, the best example I could think of, it's not Breath of the Wild, is probably Majora's Mask, I think, actually, as far as a really linear game that has side quests that do help the story, but also don't need to be done at all in order to beat the game. Come on, back me up here. Colin, how are you not agreeing?
What? I wasn't listening. I was
Majora's
typing in chat.
Mask.
I love Majora's Mask.
I know. Wouldn't you agree? It's like a game that has a nice linear premise that also like has side quests
It's
that you
not
don't.
linear. I mean, it technically
is
is
linear.
linear. Like I get like
You
the
bastard.
time you rewind, but like things have changed
Yeah.
since you've rewound time.
Saying
Hopefully,
it
you've
is
had like checkpoints.
Yeah.
But could it be considered an open world game in any way? Not
I'm
really.
wondering.
No, I don't. I don't know. Like, what would you consider?
I'm saying it's the perfect meld
I
because
mean, is
it
it just a small open world?
I don't know. Actually, what would you consider? If Breath of the Wild is an open world, then maybe Majora's Mask is an open world. Honestly, though, like at the time, it's pretty huge, right?
Is Ocarina of Time an open world?
I don't know.
No.
You have that huge feel at the time, though.
So,
what did you have? I
well,
had-
okay. I would say every Zelda game is kind of like a pseudo open world, right?
Some you can't go
But
back. I
there's
thought.
there's definite areas that you cannot access until you've gotten a certain
Well,
item.
this is
or
like
or
hub
beaten
world,
a certain part of the
hub
game.
world versus like open world.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we're defining open world then as where you can go at any time, basically, and do whatever you want, not limited by something locking you out.
Something
Okay.
like arbitrary, basically.
Zelda is actually more or less like that. Now that I'm thinking more about it, so that's what I'm saying. Linear with the ability to do like quests along the way, but in a bigger world. I don't know. Fuck it. All right.
Yeah.
Next.
So I think that Adam brought up another good example of an open world game that's done very well is the latest God of War, which I didn't even really consider it to be an open world game because you can play the story so linearly. But it is, like you can go do anything at any time for the most part in that game. So again, like the side quests are all optional. they're definitely worth doing, but you don't have to do them to complete the game. And you have the ability to go wherever you want, whenever you want, for the most part. I think that's another good way of doing it. I think that the problem with most open world games is the developer's scope is just way too large. They think that the players want something that they're gonna get completely lost in and feel like they're living in that world, which I think some people might want that, but I think for like more casual gamers, um, or even more old school gamers like us that are used to playing something more linear, like being completely lost in a world is not necessarily the best thing, because like you just
And then
I
you
don't
come
I don't like
upon a
being lost. Like
yeah,
if I get dropped into a city that I'm not used to and I don't have GPS, like
yeah.
that
Say
bums
you're
me out.
say you're
you know?
paragliding into
I
a
actually get really
coliseum
I'm the
and
opposite though.
rhino
I
comes
love that. I
along.
love getting lost sometimes in worlds. Not always. If I
Yeah,
have some kind of direction, I need some kind of like
Here's the
sense of
issue.
direction, but
sure.
I like to be lost and not be told what to do and like kind of fumble through
It's like a
in a
journey.
safe environment, like you're in a like you're playing a video game.
Here's the issue with this type of formula. If there are enemies in the game, are the enemies all the same difficulty throughout the game? Because then here comes the issue that you want to explore anywhere and you come upon enemies and they can one-shot you, or you're not prepared in any way, and then you can actually not really go into the open world without like being extraordinarily precautious, and arguably not even get the same experience without grinding out, said like armor and weapons and what have yous in order to access these regions. So like if there's like a way to like grade challenge across like enemies and stuff like that, I would say this would be great. Like your level 1 ass can run into the snow hills and only fight level 1 bad guys. But
Mhm.
like that's just not how they do it. There's always like a harder thing. I'm looking at you, Breath of the Wild. There's like a harder thing in these areas that you can freely go to, but like you're not ready for those
Yeah.
areas. So
Yeah.
it's honestly there's very few truly open world games where you can do whatever you want without consequence. So there
Yeah.
is consequence to a lot of these things too, which is like kind of lame because then it kind of does linearize it. Made up a word.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think like when it really boils down to it, I don't really have a problem with the concept of an open world game, but like a lot of the functionality of how most modern open world games are done is in such a way that like you have to spend insane amounts of time in them, and I don't have time for that anymore,
Yeah.
like it's just really difficult for me to be able to sit there in The Witcher 3 and explore every fucking aspect of the world just to figure out what the hell I'm doing. There's like games that do a better job of guiding you towards the path of like the story of the game. I think are the best executed open world games in general. And yeah, like a lot of games did use walking as an artificial game length extender kind of thing, as Adam pointed out in chat. But I think most modern open world games have kind of eliminated that to a degree. You usually have like some kind of mount that allows you to move from one place to another much quicker, and then you also have quick travel in just about every one now. So I think that becomes less and less of a problem as we go on with open world games. But there's still a lot of like false content to the
Yeah.
game just as an aspect of it being open world,
Like, yeah,
So,
it's one thing if, yeah, it all contributes in some way, but there's too many fatal flaws with the truly open world formula, I think. I don't know. I love me some linear game. I like the story. I want to remember the story. I want to be like, cool, the next cutscene in a timely fashion. I can remember the last cutscene. It wasn't 40 hours ago, and I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
yeah.
it's like this game is great. Oh, hey, a side quest. I'm actually excited for that because I don't normally do those. I'm normally all in the story and I want to make the story last. So let me do this little side quest. That was fun. Like, got a cool item. Like, that's how you do it. Like, come on, guys. we don't fuck with it. Or just like platformers like Mario and just don't give a shit. And then like it'd be cool to see some kind of, I mean, I guess Odyssey kind of did it, but I'm not talking Mario really specifically, some kind of truly fun open world game where you could go anywhere, no consequence, have fun no matter where you go in some way, and then like always unlock shit in this massive thing. Can we have that?
So to a degree, I think
Odyssey kind of was
I
that.
know. Well, yeah, Odyssey, but so I know I'm the person who said we shouldn't be talking about this much, but I think to a degree, Breath of the Wild did pull that off.
Yeah.
But I think there's other systems in the game that make it less fun, like the
Mhm.
durability. Again, I don't want to get into that
Find the shrine, you
discussion,
can't like beat the guy in it.
but
Level.
there like that game does like have a very full world. So like almost everywhere you go, there is something to do, and it's usually fun.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
I think that that game in particular suffers from like repetition issues. Like there's too much samey shit to do.
There's no replay value as well. Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
like I I think in general that's kind of what you're talking about here.
I guess
And
that's what I like.
yeah, and you know, I think Ghost of Tsushima does a pretty
Yeah, it
good
sounds
job
like
of that. Trying to think of other open world games that do. I really liked the original Red Dead Redemption, right?
Mm.
Like the original Dead Redemption did that, but also, you know, there was a clear path to the story. Um, and like all the side stuff was relatively fun, but they didn't beat you over the head with it. I think that's the biggest problem. Is games have become so big that some developers think they need to beat you over the head with all the side stuff that you need to do. Like, I don't need to brush my fucking horse and feed it. And like, that's nice that I can do that. Give me the option that I can do that, right? But not that I have to do that. You
Yeah.
know? I
It's
think
kind
that's really like my biggest problem with a lot of open world games is like instead of some things being like some of the side bullshit being optional, you have to do it, and it is a big distraction from the actual game.
Yeah, or there's stuff like Borderlands. This one suffers heavily from what you talk about, what you're talking about. It's like so many side quests that almost none of them seem important. Where it's
Yeah.
like very little meat, and so it's like, look at all the side stuff that we keep giving you, though. More extra quests and like extra whatever, guns and this and bad guys and bosses. And at a certain point, you're just like, I don't care about any of that stuff because like you're not actually giving me anything that matters in the game. And like to an extent, the game stops like mattering that much to you. You're like, oh, this doesn't
Well,
even
and
have.
Borderlands is another example of like a looter shooters to where like you're the main like gameplay loop is to grind to get a better gun or a better version of a certain
Arguably
gun.
open world game.
Yeah.
Arguably an open world game.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if that's not executed correctly, which I think that very few games do, I think Destiny's the closest thing to executing that correctly. But even
Yeah.
that gets really cumbersome and annoying sometimes. I'm suffering from a lot of like burnout from that game right now. Regardless of the new expansion, even though I'm enjoying that, I have like residual burnout. And this is after like literally 6 years of playing fucking Destiny. You
Oof.
know, like
Myself.
um but I mean, the fact that I was able to make it this far, I think is a little bit of a testament to like they're doing something right, right?
Yeah.
But
I think 6 years.
I think it's just a really hard to balance thing, like especially with a loot-based game, you end up, you know, running out of shit to really drive the player to, you know, grind for, you know. And do we really want to be grinding all the time? Like, I don't want to be grinding all the
That's the
time.
thing. Do I want to be like, look how many hours I put into this game? Like, do I want that?
You already grind in real life with your job and driving
That's
and
literally, dude, seriously.
what else? Going
Like,
to DMV.
Everything. Yeah, paying
Yeah.
rent or whatever. Like you're already like brushing your teeth even. Like there's so many things you're already putting time into your real life. Do I really want to focus on getting the green chair from my house in Animal Crossing, not the red one?
Yeah.
I just need that one. It's only gonna take 2 more hours to find
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
it's like Jesus Christ. At a certain point, we can't do those kind of games. I don't know. I think this is again the plight of the old man. And as we get older and want families and this and that, and like have jobs and all that, it's like much more difficult to commit that time. And we don't
Yeah.
want to. You know, we're getting older, so we don't
Sure.
want games that take that long. So when you're
Sure,
young,
sure.
you can play The Witcher for 400 hours.
Right. Yeah, I think long story short, like there's ways to execute open world in like a player friendly manner, and some games do it and some games don't, you know. And the ones that don't do it properly really kind of leave a bad taste in my mouth for open world games.
Yeah.
Um so I do still enjoy them, but I'm much more picky about the ones that I play. And that is why I'm kind of weary of the next Zelda game, you know. I'm hoping it's a little more concise about what it has us doing.
Yeah. Here's the
Yeah.
thing: if they do a game right, no matter if it's Zelda or whatnot, it should be I can play a little bit of this and I contribute a little, and I feel like I really did something. It wasn't like, okay, pick it up for 30 minutes, collect a bunch of sticks because I need sticks to make this armor, and okay, shit, I only got to play for 30 minutes and all I did was collect sticks. That's not what we want. We want to like be able to progress meaningfully, even if it's a massive game,
Mhm.
and then put it down and then pick it back up and like want to play again because you know the game should make you want to play without forcing you to grind. Like, I don't know, it seems like an easy formula. Like,
You know what really good open world games are?
ooh,
The Way of
samurai.
the Samurai series. They're incredibly short. They're
Good.
incredibly short. They are open world, like 100% open world, but the open world is relatively small. But what they do to compensate for those, you know, what some people might think are weaknesses is they offer a bazillion different endings for what you do. So all of your actions that you know, choose to do in the game have a consequence and impact the ending of the game.
That's awesome.
So
It's like
you
Fable.
can like almost infinitely replay the games just to get different endings and play it how you want and see like
What?
if you play a different way, like this is how it affects
The
things.
Chrono Trigger of samurai games.
Yeah, kind of. So like I think that's a really another really good way of executing open world. All right, let's wrap this discussion up and finish with a little bit of news. We're running very low on time.
Out of it even.
So let's yeah, we talked about that for a long time. We do have some news bits, so we'll just kind of try to rapid fire through these. The biggest one is the PS5 is already showing like widespread issues with its like rest suspend mode kind of thing. Um, I think this is just a, you know, like a launch bug. I'm sure it will be fixed with like a firmware update. But what's
That's so
happening is when
strange.
people put it in a rest mode, particularly when they're playing Spider-Man, which is huge right now, right? It's like the biggest next gen launch right now for the PS5.
Which to me
Um,
is lame, but whatever.
and
The
I,
Marvel.
yeah, and also some people have reported like on certain routers. I don't know if this is confirmed or true, but allegedly like Google routers will cause the issue as well. But what's happening is it causes the PlayStation to crash, and when you turn it back on, it tells you it needs to repair the hard drive. And so you run the repair of the hard drive and you get back in. Sometimes it's like a recurring issue and you have to completely reboot your PS5 in order to
Can you
uh
imagine?
yeah, you know what? The PS4 does this too, especially if you have an external hard drive, or if you like turn the PS4 off, like or like turn the power off without like if it's in rest mode and you just like unplug it, it'll do that. I think it's a like a precautionary measure that the PlayStation has to preserve your data, and not corrupt anything. But this is obviously happening erroneously, or you know something's causing it to trigger that. And so I'm
Mm.
sure they will fix that with a firmware update. But it's really bugging out a lot of early adopters for the PS5.
That sucks.
Um, it does suck. But hardly anyone has a PS5 right now. So hopefully by the time it's in most consumers' hands, they'll have that fixed.
Also,
Um,
too, is this? I mean, like, where did you hear? I'm not saying like it's fake, but like I know, like every time Apple comes out with a new phone, there's always some big issue, like
mhm.
game breaking, you know, like or like phone breaking issue that comes out. Like one was like the phone bends if it's in your pocket, and like it turned out it actually wasn't an issue. Like
Yeah.
it was people just literally bending it by hand.
Yeah.
So I wonder like how widespread these issues actually are. If not just like bubbling to the surface and being like, oh my goodness, look at this, or like
That's a
you
good
know,
yeah, that's
Sony
a
has
good
finally been
point
like,
too. Yeah.
yep, because there's
Yeah.
always some issue that comes out, regardless of whether it's true or not. Like I'm telling you, like there's been like tons of the iPhone
Mhm.
that are like, that's a non-issue. That
Yeah.
that happens to like no one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I agree. It could be that. I am seeing a lot of reports of it as well, though. So
I mean, that's how it is with the iPhone too.
Yeah.
A lot of reports about it.
That's
It's
true.
like one website picks it up, and then all the other ones pick it up too,
Yeah.
and no one really like looks into it. One person has that issue.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a fair point. I don't know that there's been any official word from Sony on it yet. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll
Yeah.
see. It very well could be like Chamali said, circular reporting.
Exactly.
Neo 1 and 2 are getting a remaster as the Neo collection. It's coming out on PS5 and PC on February 5th. That's pretty rad. I love those games. They're like
Huh?
huh? Yep, PC.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Samurai Dark Souls. So they'll have like 4K support, 60 frames per second plus, so they'll look really good both on your PC and on your PlayStation. That's exciting. It's gonna include all the DLC for both games as well.
That's
Um,
incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I love when they
Very
do
good.
that,
Yeah, I love when they do that too. I think that's a very good.
especially the games I
If you
haven't
don't know
played.
what Neo is, it's basically Samurai Dark Souls. It's
Yeah.
really awesome. And then our final bit of news, the Xbox Series S disk drive is apparently having issues.
What?
I don't know how true this one is either, especially because it's linked to the whole smoke from the system thing. And a lot of people were literally blowing vape juice into their thing to make it look like it was smoking. So, yeah, I think this is another one of those PS5, showing widespread issues thing. Could be circular reporting. We'll see. I find it a little hard to believe that they, launch with. Well, you know what? There's always some faulty hardware out there, right? Like there's always a
Yeah.
chance
Like Red
that
Ring
you're
of
gonna.
Death is real.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That was real.
But
Yeah.
generally, like disk drives, like that technology's existed for a really long time. It's possible that some faulty drives got put into some Xboxes. I'd say it's relatively unlikely, but it's possible. And that's something that if it truly is a widespread issue, they'll start producing Series X with a different disk drive. That's something that they'll do at the production level. And if you have a problem, I'm sure they'll have you send it back, just like if you have defective Switch Joy-Cons, they'll have you send them back and replace them. So that's something, we always see these kind of weird issues pop up at launches for certain consoles or the iPhone, like you said. So
yeah.
not something to necessarily be concerned about, but watch out.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, if it's a real issue, they're gonna fix it.
Yeah.
Like, or have a lawsuit on their hands. So.
Yep. Yeah. So
we're gassing out.
Yeah. Well, I was just reading that comment by Zach. That's why I zoned out. He's talking about how, people were firing guns into hurricanes or something. Anyway, that's about all we got for this week. Do you guys have any closing statements you want to?
Oh yes, we also played Banjo-Tooie co-op, and that was last time though, and we didn't get to talk about it. How fun was that, Colin?
Dude, I lost my copy, my video.
Oh, I have the video still. Oh, your half though?
My half though, the important part.
So for those who don't know, me and Colin like to play retro.
Do you want to start over? Banjo-Tooie?
Oh, do I do that? Or that
I
took
don't
a
know.
long
I
time.
actually really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that a lot. Even the first half. So
Right on.
Okay, fuck it.
we had a lot of issues with the starting video, and I'd like to kind of just shoot that anyway.
You're gonna be able to beat it because Witchy World, Glitchy World.
Well, I think they're gonna work on that, so I'll see. I'll check in with them. So
All right, cool. But yeah, so Banjo-Tooie maybe this week, and that was really fun. And
Right on.
Donkey Kong 64 soon is the rumor.
Very cool. All right. If you didn't catch the whole episode, or you want to rewatch it, or you want to go back and clip it, or whatever, we do post the episodes on YouTube. The link is in chat. You can find me streaming here video games during the week on this very, very same channel on Tuesdays and Wednesday evenings. And then on Saturdays, I always play a samurai game, Samurai Saturdays. And then you can also find me at Ryugami Sama on Twitter if you want to yell at me there. Josh, where can we find you?
Lord Yeshua and Lord Yeshua TTV on all my thingies. Honestly, I'm not really streaming much.
I know.
Yeah, me and Colin
But once you
poisoned.
guys get back in that Banjo Tooie,
I know.
I think we're gonna do that
Yeah.
more. So we're trying to do more cooperative kind of stuff where like we come out every few, weeks to a month, and then just film something big and then put it on YouTube basically. So.
We were actually talking about this. Yeah, so we were really talking about like doing a YouTube series of like all these co-op games and stuff. But we were talking about this Banjo-Kazooie-a-thon where we would have everyone join in our parsec or whatever, join in our server of the mod and have like a contest with a bunch of streamers and like see who can beat it the fastest, and we can do it in teams. Remember?
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
advertising it right now, but like if you
Oh
want to,
yeah, if anybody knows how to play Banjo Kazooie,
join
even just casually, it'd be awesome to have a cooperative thing, and we'd help you get set up with it too. I'd help you,
Cool.
get it all set up on your end and make sure that's working and everything.
really
So
fun too, yeah.
Colin, what about
So-
you? Where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/4Gs. But
Awesome.
I don't really stream very often.
Very good. All right, cool. Also join our Discord if you want to talk about video games or other things, but we mostly talk about video games there. And post clips, anything like that you want to do, just interact with us there. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please share it. I don't care if you like it or comment. I mean, you can.
Do you use
That's
Anchor, by the way,
rad.
Paul?
But please share it. Let's get this podcast out there so more people.
Do you use Anchor, Paul?
I don't know what that is. So no.
It's a thing that basically sends out your podcast to like all the different platforms, like the audio version of it.
Oh, well, let's talk about that later.
Yes.
Because that's not something that we do at all right now. But yeah, all right. Is there someone we can raid?
Mundar.
Mindari.
Or someone new, someone in podcast section, talk show section. Do we put a talk show? Is that what our thing is under?
Yeah, talk shows
It's
and
talk shows
podcasts.
and podcasts. Yeah.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
We could always do that, and to get more notoriety in the podcasting channel.
Maybe. I don't know. The longer we wait, the less likely we have 5 viewers left.
Just go,
to raid.
go.
I'm just gonna do Mandari for now. All right. Have a good night, everyone. We're raiding in 3, 2, 1. Goodbye. Oh wait, no. Now 3, 2, 1.
Good times.
All right. Bye.
Schwink. One of those was probably me.